Hello and welcome to Flutter Sunday Show number 1. My name is Majid and I'm a passionate Flutter developer just like you who are watching or listening to me. And I spend a lot of time every day or every week to learn about new things that are coming to Flutter. I will follow Flutter repositories, Start SDK repo, or plugins and active community members, different demos, mediums, and Twitters everywhere. It's a lot of updates and news. And I realized how much time sometimes I spend to learn all of that. So the whole idea is that all of my personal notes, which I took about Flutter within a week, so I will just share it with you. So instead of you going researching and read a lot of things, and so you can just maybe listen to me or watch this for a couple of minutes, and then you're updated about most important things that has happened in Flutter world. So without any hesitation, let's get into the updates. There was an update about Pedantic. Pedantic has served us very well, but it's now depreciated. So if you're using Pedantic, you should consider alternatives. So we used Pedantic quite a lot in many projects, for sure. But then now there are different alternatives that you can go and check it out. For example, lints, the official Dart lint rules, and also Flutter lints package, which is naturally an alternative to Pedantic. So go ahead and use that instead of Pedantic. So because sooner or later, we will not see Pedantic. If you have had this issue that you using multiple navigator and you want that showSearch have useRootNavigator, there is a good news is that apparently an optional parameters to use useRootNavigator is added to showSearch function. And quickly reviewing the PR, it shows that it's by default true. It never cannot be null. It always must be Boolean, true or false, and by default is true. Another PR was related to the leakage or fixing the leak of curved animation in long-lived implicitly animated widget. It's very nice also to read this code and see that this has fixed in which way it has fixed, and we can learn from these PRs a lot. So I recommend you sometimes to check some PRs that is interesting to you and check these source codes and learn from that. There is a very interesting issue opened on Flutter repo, which is migrating Flutter CLI tool to null safety. And this is interesting to me because this is a massive tool, a command line tool for Flutter, which all of us are using that. And apparently it consists of approximately 125,000 lines of Dart application with an additional 90,000 lines of test code. That's very, very interesting. So there are already several PRs to address this issue. And last week also we have seen several PR merged related to this migration to null safety. And lastly, so Dan Field, who is a Flutter engineer at Flutter team or a software engineer at Flutter team, has a very nice logo. It says looks good to me, but the logo of looks good to me, LGTM, it just looks like Flutter logo. And so I found it very nice. I wanted to share with you as well. All right, now let's talk about Dart SDK. Well, the repo, the PRs for the last week in Dart SDK repo was not that crowded or busy. So it was only 2 that I could find, and very minor stuff, maybe documentation and a little bit fixing typo stuff in the tutorials. Let's also review Flutter Engine. As always, Flutter Engine repo PR section is quite crowded and busy. You've seen a lot of PRs merged or canceled. a lot of rollback. You know, there are some bots that Flutter team has, and they do a bunch of things. Hopefully one day we can get to that and understand what they are as well. So, and one thing that actually it caught my eye in Flutter Engine repo was some activity related to Fuchsia. Let's talk about Fuchsia. Fuchsia has been released to stable version 1 a few weeks ago. And for those who don't know what Fuchsia is a unique operating system for Google, which is working on that. And it has been rewritten from scratch completely, even kernel. A fun fact about Fuchsia, though, it's a flower, and it's apparently a very nice flower, which you can see in the screen if you are watching the videos, but if you're listening. So it's a very nice flower, and it's called Golden Bell. So in Chinese, apparently, it's not a Chinese. It's from Central African countries or something like that. And it's a very beautiful, and there are different varieties of these flowers. It's just a fun fact about Fuchsia. But what makes Fuchsia operating system unique? There are not much information about Fuchsia still. We know it's version 1 is released, it's stable. Maybe you can go ahead and install, and maybe you have done it so far. Let me know if you have done it. What's your experience? However, what we know is that one thing that I'm really interested about is the kernel of the Fuchsia. So apparently, first of all, the kernel of the Fuchsia called zircon, I think, which is like a mineral, and it's a way of architecture in kernel that what we call it macro kernel. Zircon is completely rewritten in or has been written in C++, and I think part of it assembly. Okay, some news from Flutter team. First of all, there is a new documentation on Flutter documentation website. So I will put all the links in the comments or show notes wherever you are listening or watching. Don't worry about it. So it's about building adaptive apps, and it's very, very interesting, and of course a very long article or tutorial. It's talking about adaptive UIs or layouts. A very interesting approach. If you have not read that so far, or if you're not aware of this, please go ahead and read it. It's a very interesting, very insightful, and you will learn a lot from it. And we knew that Flutter team is hiring, but one more time, Eric Seidel has announced the least job that Flutter team is looking for. And you can definitely check out flutter.dev/jobs, and you see there are 4 different jobs positions available. Leo Farias, who is one of the author of FVM, Flutter version management, has also worked on Flutter Sidekick, and he apparently added GitHub trending Dart repos and Flutter favorites to the Sidekick, which is a very nice addition. So if you have not worked with Sidekick, so I think this was very nice. I wanted to shout out one more time to Leo about these fantastic tools that he's creating. And of course, one tweet from me. We at Flutter Community Plus team, who is taking care of several packages. I'm sure you are probably using that right now. And we recently also become Flutter favorites. We are trying to expand our team and adding more community members. It's not a paid version. It's not a paid job. It's a voluntary job. So please, if you have time and if you want to serve to Flutter community, and if you think you are looking for some good team, open source team, and also amazing plugins that is impacting the community a lot, so feel free to reach me out in any way that you can. I'm available on Twitter or maybe my email or anywhere that you want. Or you can go to Plus Plugins repo and go to the issues or discussion, and maybe you can tell us what you can do, and definitely we are happy to have you on board. On Reddit, there was one news or one article which got a lot of attention, and that's an article about 70 plus Flutter projects for beginner, intermediate, and experienced developers. This article was from the Insane app, and it's a very fantastic resource of a lot of clone or library or application which has built with Flutter in different levels with the source link to the source code. So definitely check that out, and hopefully you will learn or you will find out something interesting. And last but not least, next week, I'm sure a lot of events are out there. There are different ways that I usually get my information. There are different ways that I usually go and get the information about events. And one of them is Flutter Events website. For example, I check my Twitter, different sources to get also updated about that. There was a lot of actually events next week. So probably you should go ahead and check out at least Flutter Events website and see what is going on in near your where you live. There's also some events from GDGs, Google Developer Groups around the world. So probably you can also check that out. I don't have any particular events to mention right now, but I would say that there are lots of events already around the world. So go and check them out and join your either local community or online one of these online events. And last but not least, let me shout out to Thomas Burkhart, my amazing friend and a GDE for Flutter, for running and helping devs. And I every day, maybe like or every other day, whenever I check my Twitter, I see some devs are posting different pictures about the laptops that they are receiving. So the initiative is Devs Help Devs. If you don't know the Twitter account, go to the twitter.com/helpdevs handler, and you'll see that this is an initiative that we developers are trying to helping other developers around the world. It's like a charity platform, but developer to developer. That is a fantastic initiative. I really liked it and I fully support it. Give a big shout out to Thomas for doing that for the community. With that said, thank you very much for listening or watching me right now. I hope that you enjoyed this. I know that is not the best or perfect, but I guarantee that I will improve this show with the help of you. If you have any idea, if you have seen any good examples and you wanted to have it in the Flutter community as well, or if you are looking for any updates, or more importantly, if you have any update or any news from your company, from your work, whatever, just send it to me. I will definitely sort them out and I will shout them out and put them all together in one link for everyone. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I'll see you next week.